Open Market is sponsored by AdLib, the self-serve DSP solution making advertising easy. What do the world's largest demand-side platforms have in common? They're effective, but they require large annual contracts and spend minimums. With AdLib, growing agencies get a single platform that connects to every top global DSP with no contracts, no spend minimums, and G2's #1 ranked support. That means access to the entire universe of TV, digital out-of-home, audio, display, video, and native without a hassle and with no blind spots. It's incredibly easy to use, plus it can automate most of the work your team spends hours a day doing manually. Get the most powerful media buying technology without the barriers to entry. Check out AdLib at getadlib.com today.
Let's do it.
What's up, guys?
Welcome to Open Market, a podcast about building companies in the advertising industry. Eric Franchi, what level jiu-jitsu belt are you?
I'm a purple belt.
Okay, is that impressive? I have no idea.
We're going to cut to a clip of Joe Rogan talking about how if you're a purple belt, you are effectively a black belt that needs to just put in the extra time to refine your skills. End quote.
Wow. Okay, color me impressed. The people are asking, Eric. I'm just telling you what the people are asking me to ask you.
Anyway, today we're joined by Jonathan Moffie.
I feel like coffee.
Awesome. Moffie like coffee. Jonathan is the founder and CEO of Streamr, and he has chips on both shoulders. And we like chips on both shoulders because that leads to punchy conversations. Jonathan, tell us about yourself and about these chips on your shoulders.
Hey, great to be here. I love the MFM of ad tech, if anyone gets that reference. Really awesome. Jonathan Moffie. I've been in CTV and ad tech for over 12 years, more big tech in the early days at places like Yahoo, leading monetization. And then I took a brief exit out of ad tech for 1 year to lead video and music at Shutterstock. I was like, all right, I'm done. And then I got pulled right back in. I was the first head of product at Whirl and then acquired by AppLovin. So I think if we want to get right into the chips on shoulders, that's where that comes from.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple questions about that. I mean, AppLovin has become like the company of the moment. Obviously, they acquired Whirl. They also own Adjust, the mobile measurement partner. Whirl's a CTV company. Let's start here. What do you make of the rapid rise of AppLovin over the last year?
Yeah, it's great. I think obviously them focusing on broadening their advertising scope to go after the retail media and overall e-commerce play as that's been heating up. Listen, they have actually really great tech. They have great engineers. They've really honed their machine learning. Now, obviously, it's all called AI for driving ROAS, return on ad spend for gaming app advertisers. And they're extending that market into what is now the hottest sector, retail media and e-commerce, and also CTV with Whirl. So it's a great story to the market. And that's why they've rose so much.
I mean, my impression is that they have enormous scale. I think they claim to be able to reach something like a billion people via their mobile ecosystem. Obviously, they have a lot of gaming properties, and then now they're looking at spinning off. And then also the performance capabilities, right? Like they're trying to rival Google and Meta in terms of being performance channels. Having been there and knowing a bit about it, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, what's super interesting is, so Eric Seufert, Mobile Dev Memo, hopefully I didn't butcher his last name, had a good piece on AppLovin. And I agreed with this. I think the thing that made them so successful in gaming was when they bought MoPub from Twitter and actually had their own first-party data. When ATT happened with Apple and you lost some signal on mobile, they and obviously Meta were two of the quickest to figure out how they could still do attribution and ROAS in mobile. And that helped a lot because in mobile, performance advertisers, if you can deliver $2 for every dollar spent, they'll never stop spending. And AppLovin was probably the first kind of open, relatively open, and they had their first party MoPub to start driving great ROAS again after ATT. I'm saying so many acronyms, app tracking transparency changes.
This is what niche podcasts are all about. The people know. Keep it coming.
Yeah. So I think that is really what drove it for them. But what's interesting is they just announced that they are going to finally try to spin off a lot of their first party supply, basically. They are just going to be a wider DSP, for lack of a better term, I don't know, the trade desk. And I think that's really interesting because I think that was a major differentiator in their real, like specific gaming vertical. So it'll be interesting to see how they expand, or hey, with this huge rise in the stock, do they go after other first party supply? Roku? We've talked about maybe Meta being a Roku potential acquirer. Could AppLovin be? I don't know.
So we need to get into the chips on shoulders, and then we got to talk about you as a 2025 early stage ad tech founder and what you're doing with Streamr. One, question on AppLovin, and I realize you don't have to, comment on this if you don't want to, but people are just screaming about this company. And there are two camps. There is the camp of people saying that I don't believe anything of what's going on. This is some sort of house of cards and things are being gamed. And there's like short sellers that are on X going crazy about this. And then there's the other side, which is they are incredible at driving performance. They've proved it out with mobile. They've conquered the entire market. They've killed all challengers. And they're just taking this infrastructure, this learnings to the next logical, highest growth potential channels, which are commerce and CTV. Do the Bears have something? Are the Bulls completely, kind of blinded to the opportunity? Do you want to just like completely not comment and talk about why you're mad?
I think we've made the bull case. So maybe, okay, Jonathan, you could shed some light on the bear case.
I would say, I'm a huge market believer. I think the market in aggregate is really smart. So I think there's definitely a there. And I know from being a brief insider, there is really great tech and engineering. So I know they're doing a great job and they do deliver great ROAS for their core business. I think the big thing is with any market upswing, like even with NVIDIA, there's a lot of cart before horse because you're kind of trading on the future. And I'm very confident. I don't know this because this has happened since I've left, but I guarantee they've shown signals that they have driven that similar great ROAS for gaming apps for e-commerce brands. And that's getting leaked out to people that are trading on the stock. Now, I think that's a small part of the pie. So the big thing is, can they really scale that out to meet the ambition of the stock price? That's the bear case. There's probably some really great signal that they're really driving ROAS for brands outside of their core gaming brands, so e-commerce brands. But can they actually scale it up? Because it's likely a very small part of the revenue right now.
Why do you have self-professed chips on both shoulders?
Yeah. I'm not going to get too into the weeds, but yeah, I was at Whirl, acquired by AppLovin. One of the biggest projects my team was working on was actually turning Whirl into the CTV SSP for AppLovin, extending mobile performance demand into CTV. Very exciting. And basically, abruptly, most of the Whirl leadership and I were ousted. So I check my Yahoo Finance app pretty much every day. Let's see, right now, I think my equity is worth something like $14 million that I left on the table at my $23 per share. So it stings, but it's a great reminder. It's like, hey, gotta make Streamr.ai work because that's a lot of chips on shoulder.
So you're motivated.
Oh, yeah.
So what was the vision at Whirl at that time? And then how did that then lead you to what you're doing now at Streamr?
Yeah. So I don't think too much was actually taken from the Whirl vision. I do think, obviously, the thesis that you could get performance advertisers into CTV. So yeah, the overall thesis definitely is something Streamr trades on. But basically, in 2023, we were seeing the rise of DALL-E and how good it was at generating images, and then video was starting to come on the horizon. And then you had ChatGPT being so great and taking the world by storm. And it was like, okay, I worked at another startup, Orca TV, and we were trying to build an ads manager. And the goal was, let's build the simplest possible ads manager. We made it 10 steps. We looked at competitors like Vibe, TV Scientific. There were like 25, 30 plus steps. I was in every ads manager. I'm a product guy, so I was diving through. I had credentials for all of them. And I'm like, they say these are for SMBs, but they all are way too difficult for a real pizza shop owner to use. So we're going to make it actually easy enough for a pizza shop owner to use. So we made it 10 steps. And then we started meeting with the advertisers. And we're like, all right, great. We made it super easy. We go, okay, upload your ad. They go, I don't have a video ad. We're like, Ah, crap. All right. Well, we have the cheapest creative services. We'll make you an ad. Let's come back in a week and we'll upload it. Okay. So we do that, come back, upload the ad. They get into the ads manager and they go, what the hell is a DMA? And I go, what the hell is a DMA to a pizza shop owner? We don't know. So that's kind of when the light bulb went off. We made it as easy as possible, easier than Meta, easier than everybody to launch an ad on TV. Well, Meta's not TV, but Meta is supposedly the easiest for search and social. So I was like, what if we used AI to generate the creative for the advertiser and use AI to automate the campaign setup? So all they have to do is basically search for their business or enter their website URL and then pay with their credit card and they're live on TV. So that's what Streamr is. The easiest way to advertise on TV. You can generate a commercial and launch it in less than 2 minutes.
So I'm just connecting the dots through the whole conversation as you're talking. It's like if you think about a company like AppLovin, it's like historically they've driven performance for mobile advertisers in the mobile ecosystem. Then they're looking at another set of like performance advertising customers, which could be like e-com marketers or it could be SMBs. And they're like, can I drive that on CTV? And that's sort of the phenomenon you're pointing to that Streamr is becoming a part of, is this array of companies. I mean, AppLovin's the biggest one, sort of big company getting into an emerging space. But then there's TV Scientific, Vibe, Mountain, Streamers entering the fray. And you guys are all saying, can we make CTV a performance channel and an SMB accessible channel by A, making it simple enough for those constituencies to access, and B, showing it drives the performance they need because they're not going to buy CTV for, on the basis of frequency and reach like a Trade Desk customer. I think that a lot of companies in this space, like there's a lot of pie, and they're like people can have different pieces of it. So to me, like we often talk about the e-com, like the big D2C marketers, like a Casper or whatever, and the SMBs in the same breath. We say, well, that's, the performance CTV audience. But actually, like those are very different constituencies, right? Like the pizza shop owner has very different concerns and capabilities than like a D2C brand that's doing hundreds of millions in revenue. So what strikes me about Streamr and the way you describe it is like, to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you are very focused on just like, how do we be the easiest possible way to access CTV? And so obviously that could benefit other constituencies, but you're staking out an edge in particular in relation to the SMB market.
Yeah, 100%. The big differentiator is making it the easiest. And then the kind of other thing, which part startup, and we'll rewrite the history and say that it was the vision all along. Basically, about 6 months in, after I cold called my 10,000th SMB, we had campaigns going with law firms, coffee shops, et cetera. And I was like, all right, this will make a bunch of revenue in like 45 years. And it's like, it's going to be really hard to scale because we were bootstrapping. We're not throwing a ton of money at paid marketing. We had a DSP in the industry reach out and they said, hey, this is really cool. We don't want to push our advertisers to your platform, but 15 to 20 times per week, we do have advertisers who want to try CTV, but don't have a video ad. Do you guys have an API we can use? And I was like, yeah, of course. And then I was like, hey, CTO, we need an API. So we built one over the weekend. And we were off to the races with our enterprise solution. And really, that's our core focus now. So we actually white label our tech to larger ad tech platforms, agencies, and CTV broadcasters. And we've had a lot of success there. We've launched a bunch of white label and API customers.
And just a comment for the audience, I've seen the demo from Jonathan, and it's wild. He literally just takes a URL and then a great CTV ad is generated within a minute. It's really neat to see. Everybody should ask for the demo. And it's interesting that you talk about the like channel and white label strategy, because I think one of the biggest criticisms or challenges of SMBs as a channel in general, but CTV for SMBs specifically, is after they see their ad on TV, wow, this is cool. Like, honey, come in, our company's on TV, our commercials on TV. How do you keep them spending? What is the metric of success to, keep the credit card, hitting $50 a month or whatever it is? And then number two, the other challenge is, to your point, you cold called 10,000, whatever the number was, of SMBs. There's something like 14 million SMBs out there in the US. somebody can check me if I'm wrong on that. Customer acquisition has got to be, just a bear of a challenge. How do you go after those two?
Yeah. So the kind of ROAS, return on ad spend tools we white label and give to our clients are the biggest currency in CTV is the IP address. So we build an IP conversion pixel that the SMB can add to their website. And then when a viewer sees the ad on Roku, then gets passed through the ad request, and then they can see if they then took an action on their website. That's what gets SMBs the most excited. They see incremental site visitors in their reporting. We have a QR code service. QR codes get added to every campaign. We really only see kind of critical amount of QR code scans at a bigger budget, like let's say 5,000 plus. That's actually a pretty small budget, but for the SMB market, that's a decent sized budget. And that gets them extremely excited. And then a product that we're really excited about that we rolled out, we call it Gen AI Infinite. The idea is Gen AI unlocks so many awesome things. Basically, rather than creating one ad that's perfect for your different target audiences, we can automatically create a perfect ad for each target audience. So Spanish speakers, English speakers, deal seekers, it'll literally change the script, change the assets, change the call to action overlays, and then you actually hit those target audience with the perfect ad so that it optimizes your campaign spend.
This raises another question, but get back to the challenge of how do you attack the critical mass needed if you're going to make SMBs your primary channel, which again, sounds like that actually isn't the focus for you right now, but just how do you think about that? Because it's the perennial challenge of anyone in ad tech, not named Meta or Google. How do you acquire hundreds of thousands or millions of small customers?
Yep. So this is the major insight that we kind of backed into, which has been super helpful. Basically, our white label solution is perfect for broadcasters and ad tech platforms that already have a sizable paid marketing budget, local regional sales team. Actually, broadcasters are great. They have really great relationships like a Sinclair or what have you with auto dealerships, et cetera. And they can actually now use this as an easy way to, hey, this is what your business would look like on TV. And then you get them into the sales funnel and then they start spending, you drive ROAS and you keep them going. So you really do need that vehicle. And the insight that we're really leaning into, it'll be so interesting to see how the other players in the space end up kind of netting out, is that CTV is very pro walled garden. These supply platforms, Comcast just announced their universal ads. They want to own their supply. So trying to build Streamr.ai or let's say Vibe.co into a brand name that advertisers are separately going to versus going to a Comcast, you're going to pay millions of dollars in paid marketing to make that happen. And these supply guys, I think where it gets really spicy, could cut you off and be like, all right, well, you don't have access to our supply anymore. We want that to be pushed all through our own ads manager. So we want to partner with these walled gardens as they mature, empower them with Gen AI tech rather than compete against them in a crazy paid marketing spree.
Got it. So skirt the issue entirely by just becoming picks and shovels for those who already have the sales force. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. What came first? This vision and this product or the Gen AI wave? Like, were you tinkering with ideas for CTV and then all of a sudden, late 2022 or whenever ChatGPT came out, like we started seeing like this incredible wave of AI tools and you're like, whoa, here's the opportunity? Or was it post Gen AI release and you were like, I can apply this to an interesting market? Like, was it chicken or egg?
Yeah. So the last startup I was at, the ads manager we built, the whole idea was let's build the meta ads manager for CTV by making it drastically easier for SMBs. The missing ingredients were Gen AI. So we that example with the advertiser, they didn't have a video ad. So we didn't solve that problem for them to get them into the space. And then they're 10,000 plus to produce on the low end. So they're like, absolutely not. And then they have no idea what we're talking about in a campaign manager. What's a DMA? What's this? So our AI agent that we released at CES has actually been the thing people are most excited about. It literally automatically recommends a budget, automatically fills out all of your targeting criteria, demographic, geographic, so that the advertiser doesn't have to think about any of that. They're just thinking, let's see my ad on TV, and then to get them to renew, let's drive return on ad spend.
The ad came first. The ad being you needed, the Gen AI capabilities for a business like this to exist, and SMBs all over the US and the world to realize their dream of seeing their ad on their TV. Got it.
Yep, exactly.
I think there are going to be a lot of businesses with that kind of story in this incipient AI era of ad tech and martech, because I think there are a lot of businesses that if they were founded like 2 or 3 years ago, they might have had a vision and then AI came along and then they were like, oh, whatever the vision was, we can now like 10x the scale of our ambitions. So a lot of companies will be grappling with how to tell that story, because there's going to be a joke. Like the annoying people are going to be like, oh, yeah, of course, like X and Y companies are going after AI, or like everyone's doing AI this, or like AI agents or AI creative or whatever. And I think part of the challenge for those people will be sort of weaving a synthetic story, just like you guys were kind of doing in real time, of like, well, no, this was always the vision. It's just like AI came along and then we could do 10 times more than we previously thought possible.
It was definitely the missing piece to actually get SMBs to test it. Literally 99% of our advertisers, the first ones especially before the white label, were all net new TV advertisers. The conversations I had, well, there's this crazy one, I love it. This used Harley Davidson dealership did a $250 campaign and sold a $6,000 used Harley. That ROAS is like, wow, I don't want to do public math, but like 600% or something. Yeah, it was insane. And they were just like, we're going to turn up all of our car dealerships. This is insane. Yeah, like that's an amazing thing.
That is so cool. That is such a good case study. The new meme or meta or whatever it is in Silicon Valley is with AI, we're going to stay small, meaning, new startups are intentionally not raising a lot of money post-seed, not planning to like hire an army and make the headcount the, kind of like qualitative metric of success of talking about the company. It's actually, no, we're going to try to stay as small as possible, use as many AI tools as possible to empower our workforce and try to become this big, super profitable company. I'm interested in getting your take on that as a brand new startup that seemingly is like on the edge of like seeing all of these AI tools. Do you think this meme is real and is, the way startups are going to look moving forward?
Oh yeah, we live and breathe the meme. So our goal was to bootstrap to profitability. Silicon Valley, I know you hate that idea. I love the old Silicon Valley show where Russ Hanneman, now I'm getting really in the weeds, was like, revenue? Don't talk about revenue, you idiot.
You're
like,
pre-revenue.
I love revenue. Like revenue is great. So our goal is revenue and bootstrap as long as possible. And then if there's a real there, then we could start talking about potentially raising money. So basically, we got very lucky. We got a case study early on with one of our strategic partners, 11 Labs. And then I basically just used that to wheel and deal for over 150,000 in credits in year one to fund. We basically bootstrapped Streamr through credits. I kept saying, hey, look, 11 Labs loves Streamr. Like, shouldn't you give us 50,000 in credits, other AI company or other cloud company? And we just kept getting credits to fund Streamr. So it was really just sweat equity and credits in year one.
I remember you telling me this. For the non-founders listening to this, what do you mean by credits, and what are the types of credits you're talking about? It sounds like monopoly money to the outsiders.
Yeah. So like AWS cloud infrastructure costs a lot of money. We haven't paid a dime. Yeah, it's funny saying I'm like, Bezos, don't kill me, but Bezos isn't even really there. So he doesn't care about Streamr. But like we get like free cloud for the first year. We haven't paid anything. Events like segment.io to track all of our events, how people are using the site, really great things on analytics. So we were able to basically 11 Labs, really hot. They've raised like 200 million and we just like kind of surfed on their back and we're like, look, 11 Labs loves Streamr. You should love Streamr too. Give us free credits to keep growing this thing.
So for the founders in the audience who are looking for found money, how do you go about finding these credits? What do you do? Give them the playbook.
Oh, lots of LinkedIn DMing. If there's any partner programs, we just got into the NVIDIA Inception program, which is really cool. We can like literally we just rolled up our own hardware for the first time and actually built. So our Gen AI 3.0 model is the first image to video model where we'll take the business images and actually animate them into videos. And that basically is our own thing. We were trying to use Runway and all the different Sora, et cetera. We got early API access, and they would just create too surreal of a video. And obviously, it'd only be like 8 seconds, no voice, no music, no script. It's not a 15 or 30-second commercial. So we had a breakthrough where we just rolled our own. We're not going to do that long term. It costs a lot of money. We're talking to a really big player in the space that's raised hundreds of millions that is interested in focusing on the advertising space. All the rest of them are all just trying to replace Hollywood, which is great. But I'm like, you guys know there's like a lot of money in advertising. So one of them is very interested in that. So we'll probably just end up partnering with them. We think of ourselves as an AI DJ remixing the best of these tools rather than kind of building our own model from the ground up. Like Perplexity. Perplexity says they have their own model, but it's built on top of foundation models because they're doing enough business logic to call it their model that's similar to us.
We would be remiss, given that we're all social media addicts, if we didn't mention that part of your go-to-market strategy is obviously that you've become a LinkedIn character, along with, Eric and me and all the other fine folks sparring on ad tech Twitter and LinkedIn. How's that been going for you?
So Eric and I briefly talked about this. Pretty funny. So one of my first jobs, I actually went to J School, CUNY Graduate School of Journalism. I started the sports program there. And out of that, I worked at Sports Illustrated. But before Sports Illustrated, I covered the Brooklyn Nets for the Times. And I was every day, Brooklyn Nets, talking about Brooke Lopez, talking about all these different guys and the game recaps and stuff. So I was like a Brooklyn Nets quasi-personality for a while. And then I kind of went on in my career, got into product, was at like Yahoo, kind of too scared to tweet, just let's build and grow my kind of net worth or what have you. And so I stopped for a really long time. And Eric was like, it's probably funny once you started going ham on X, and especially X again, where all these Brooklyn Nets followers were like, what is this guy talking about? Ad tech? And like, this is super weird.
That makes a ton of sense because you clearly have the spirit of a poster. And so, the writer background, because it's hard to teach. Like you got to really like love it to do it. So if you're, you have a background as a writer, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. LinkedIn's where I have some scale. X, I can't get past. I got to 1,000 followers. I used to have more back in the Brooklyn Nets days, and then I stopped for years. And then I got 400 bots got smashed out of my account, and I just crawling my way back. But then I'll get Universal Ads followed you or Viant. I'm like, oh, cool, that's useful.
It's very hard to achieve scale on X. It's more there. I think there just aren't that many ad tech people there. I think it might have been Ari at one point who said his theory is there are really only 200 really tapped in people. And then, there are several thousand other people who are part of the ecosystem, but aren't addicted. They're not there every day. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And the metric for really both social platforms, Twitter and LinkedIn, but especially Twitter is just are you reaching the people who matter? Do you feel like you're becoming a part of the conversation? And I think, you've definitely succeeded at doing that. And if the go-to-market strategy is to go through ad tech platforms and agencies, then that makes a lot of sense. That's definitely going to be a way to increase awareness among them and build some of those relationships.
Yeah, I'll give you a little of my secret sauce. So LinkedIn by far is the most effective channel. And so much so that I'll start reaching out to people to set up CES meetings. And to a T, they'll all say, yes, let's finally meet. You've been harassing my feed on LinkedIn. All I do is see Streamr, Moffie. Yep, it looks really cool. Let's finally talk. These enterprise sales cycles are longer, but everyone's like, dude, how big's your marketing team? All I do is hear about Streamr on LinkedIn. And I'm like, that's just me posting on LinkedIn. But yeah, it's super effective, LinkedIn, for sure.
Yeah.
X is where I experiment. If I want to say something a little spicy, I'll throw it on X. Mm-hmm. I'm mainly a reply guy too. But LinkedIn, where I try to get, LinkedIn's where I try to get the original content out. Reply guy on LinkedIn, maybe a few replies, but.
Yeah, you could be a little more provocative on Twitter, but I just want to double click really quickly on something you said, because I was reflecting back on a conversation Eric and I had a few weeks ago. And I think the way I'd crystallize this is like the span of attention outcomes you can generate is so much wider now. And exactly what you're talking about as a success story of like these like enterprise people being like, you're everywhere. How big is your marketing team? That's what we're aiming for, right? Like one person now can create more traction in the market and more trust and credibility than like a team of 20 marketers could like 15 years ago, because you can just be in front of these people every single day, sharing your message and weighing in on what's going on. So that's awesome to hear, because I think you're a proof point for the efficacy of that strategy.
Yeah, without a doubt. You are everywhere on my LinkedIn feed in particular. And it's mostly replies if I think about it. You don't post too much, of your own kind of stuff. You're just like in the comments in the arena duking it out, right? That's your MO.
Yeah, I try to get a newsletter out once a week. It's mainly happened, but after that, it's all straight reply guy material.
Got it. I can't wait for the title of this episode. The reply guy. So for Joe X, Jonathan raised an interesting point, and this is where this podcast gets fun because we can just like dive into very like niche areas. I don't think it matters how many followers you have on X. It's all about the algorithm, right? Like the following tab. It's like not even what you see when you open up the app or the web app, right?
Yeah, I don't think it matters that much, and I think I don't know if you could, I mean, maybe. I guess like Ad Tech God is the only person who seems to have done this in the last few years, but like I think it's extremely hard now to start on X and get to like 10,000 followers if you're like doing like ad tech stuff, like obviously there are different sectors. But yeah, I don't think it matters. Yeah, I think it's just like, whom are you reaching? Whom do you want to reach? And like, how much can you increase your leverage among those people? That's certainly how it's worked out for me. And I think, Jonathan, it seems you're achieving the same effect.
Is this cope though? Like, it matters to my ego. It matters to I'm sad.
I don't want to sound like I'm being too much, where I'm like, okay, I mean, someone's done it. Like I've seen Ad Tech God do it. But I think, generally speaking, it's more, especially because we're all B2B, it's more about whom you're reaching and how high quality they are. And I find that about like on LinkedIn, let's say you do the same post. I literally just did this week. I did a post about business growth and it got like 30 reactions on Twitter and like over 100 on LinkedIn, right? So yes, you'll get 3 to 4x as much engagement ostensibly on LinkedIn, but the average quality of the person liking the post is super high on Twitter. It's like, because that 100, that'll include like 20 random freelancers. Like I'm like never going to talk.
Can I say it? Can I swear on the pod? Because there's like an ass kissing bump you get on LinkedIn. You'll always get like a threshold of people that'll just like, all right, I may need a job at some point. I want Eric to invest in my company. So you'll always get you always like have a ass kissing kind of threshold.
And Joe has AI agents, right? Like you have AIs that reply to your posts. I don't know if they engage with your posts.
Oh,
but you have an AI inflation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, it's actually gotten a lot better because what happens is it also depends on the type of post you do. So I used to do a lot of like how to build a marketing consultancy type posts, and the bot and like international freelancer audience for those posts is just like huge, like I know people who are like B2B marketing influencers, and they'll have like 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, and like all their posts will like seem to be going viral, but it's just all like, like either freelancers overseas or bots. So yeah, that's the thing about X is like, if you get 30 likes on ad tech, like X, it's going to be like 25 of them are like founders, CEOs, or like executives. So it's a much smaller channel, but it's a high quality one.
I agree. And the thing about LinkedIn that's starting to really bother me is
just the AI slop posts. They're just so clear, right? When it's like, this could have been, 2 sentences and it's a page. It's filled with emojis and like the rocket emoji and the checkbox emoji. It's full of M dashes. Like it's just so clear now what that stuff is. So if you actually write like a decent short post that's in your own voice, I think the respect factor is going to be pretty huge. Not too long from now, because people are going to figure this.
Ooh, can I throw a quick Streamr quasi plug, but I hope it's a genuine thing off of that.
Yeah, we're just complaining about social media now, so you do whatever you want.
No, I love it. So basically, people will be like, the quality. Are you worried about, inundating CTV with medium quality? Some may say low quality, video ads. It's on the biggest screen in the household. I believe we're at a place where the quality is rock solid, but yeah, it's not winning a Cannes Lions Award yet. We do have a Gen AI Labs team, a small group of editors that will produce a commercial for you with your B-roll if you want that level of agencies normally choose that if you want that level of quality. But basically, what I'm saying is, I think the difference is, I agree on LinkedIn, like writing slop is slop and it stands out so much. But CTV has such a fill rate problem, especially programmatic, where you literally will get like 40% fill rates, and then literally for like 8 minutes in a mid-roll pod, you'll have, we will be right back. We will be right back. We will be right back. So filling that with genuinely unique used Harley Davidson dealership commercials, maybe it's not a Cannes Lions Harley Davidson winning commercial, but it's a relevant commercial targeted at you and interesting instead of just, we will be right back, I think is a huge boon for the CTV industry, a diversity of creative. It actually helps with the frequency capping problems of seeing the same ad every single time too. So that's my big kind of pushback when people are like, are we worried about quality with the video ads?
Makes perfect sense, man.
I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, I agree. Jonathan, this has been great, man. You always bring heat. Where can people follow you on the internet or find you on the internet? Because nobody follows you.
Yeah, brutal. Hopefully after this, we're gonna get the bump, the open market bump. Jonathan Moffie. It's just at Jonathan Moffie on X, Jonathan Moffie LinkedIn. That's where I'm doing the most. And come to Streamr.ai. The good news is you don't have to get in touch with me to demo. You literally can sign up for free and just start creating ads. Just literally start having fun.
Cool. Thanks so much, Jonathan. See you in the replies.
Take care, everybody.
Have a good one.